right, welcome. This is Vincent, your instructor. All right, so previously we are done looking at introduction to graphic design, and under graphic design we mentioned the elements that act as building blocks for the project in graphic design. Okay, so here we have examples of graphic elements. Okay, so you can see here the first we have dot there, then second we have a line there, and here we have shape, here we have texture, here we have color, here space, form, and lastly typography. So all these are graphic elements. Okay, so let's just look at these graphic elements one by one and see how they look by example. Okay, so first we have a dot. Okay, so a dot can be considered as the beginning of the elements. It is the first and the most basic element of a design. A dot can turn inactive space into a visually active space. Dots in a design can be used to create a layered effect, create a pattern as a part, and also as a part of motif. So that's what dots can be used for in graphic design. They can be used to create a layered effect. So what is this layered effect? It is this. Okay, so you can see that here the dots have they've occupied or filled up the whole space in here. Okay, you can see these dots here, you can see them. So they've filled the whole space in a canvas. Okay, so having filled the whole space, that creates a layer. Okay, they act as a layer in this type of effect. Okay, so where the dots have filled up the whole space, you can lay something on top of them. So you can see these flowers have been laid on top of the dots. So that's a layer. Okay, they've created a layer where something can be laid on top of them. So next we have here we have a part of a motif. So what you can see here is a motif. Okay, so all these round circles which you are seeing, they are dots. Okay, so all these things that you are seeing here, it's made up of dots. Okay, these circles here, those circles there, all these circles that you are seeing, the orange there, the white circles there, they are dots. Okay, so here they've created a motif. Okay, so that's what they can be used for. And here they create a pattern. Okay, so a pattern is a repetition of a same combination of dots. Okay, so here you can see the dots have been repeated in a similar manner. Okay, here you have this dot, here that dot, here dot, and that they are all repeated in the same manner. So that's a pattern which they can create in graphic design. So that's how dots can be used in graphic design. Okay, then next we have lines. Okay, so next we have lines. So what are these lines? So lines are made up of connecting two dots. Okay, so remember, dots, they act as the beginning of elements. Okay, or the beginning of shapes. Okay, so they act as the beginning or the start point of something. You when you want to draw a shape, you start with a dot first. Okay, so how does that look? So it looks like this. So if I want to make a line. I'll start with that. You can see that. I'll start with that, then I go like this. Okay. So where two lines have been connected, for example, like this. So the connections of these two dots here, like that, they create a line. Okay. When I connect these two dots, they create a line. All right. So dots forms a line. It is characterized as a mark of length, direction, thickness, or formation. Lines can be used to express meaning, evoke an emotional response, create division, and to organize content. Lines can be long and short, vertical, diagonal, diagonal and horizontal, curved, pointed, zigzag, thick and thin, broken, and many more. So here you can see the examples of how lines are used. Here you can see the line creating a hand. Okay, so here lines have been used to create a form of a hand. Okay, and here lines have been used to form a what? A power line stand. Okay, you can see that all these connections that you are seeing here, those are lines. Okay, this is why they are called power lines. Okay, power lines. And here you can see something. Okay, you can see a pattern of lines here. Okay, like that. And here this line seems to create a division. Okay, you can see that this side you have another pattern of lines, and this side you have another pattern of lines, and this line in the middle creates a division. Okay, so lines can be in many forms: curved like that, straight like that. Then you can have lines that works as a direction like that. Okay, you can have a zigzag like that, you can have a circle, okay, as a line. Okay, so lines are in different forms and they work with according to their different purposes. Okay, so that's it about lines. Next we have shapes. Okay, so what are shapes? Shapes are a connection of lines. Okay, so when you connect lines, for example, when you connect lines like this, you are seeing what I'm drawing. You have a shape. Okay, so this is a line, this is a line, and that's a line, and that's a line. They are all connected, okay? And that forms a shape. Okay, so shapes are characterized with uh, two sides, okay? They have only height and width, okay? Height and width. These are flat uh, shapes, okay? Height and width, they are just flat, okay? They are flat. So these types of shapes are called geometric shapes, okay? They are called geometric shapes. You can see that they are called geometric shapes. And we have another type of shapes here, organic shapes. These types of shapes are called organic shapes. Why are they called organic shapes? It's because they have the shape of nature. Okay, the shapes that are found in nature, for example, a shape of a leaf, or a shape of a flower, or maybe a shape of a starfish here. Okay, you can see that any shape that is in form of nature, okay, the shape of nature, okay, those things that are found in nature, okay, maybe a shape of an insect. Okay, those are organic shapes. A shape of flower, those are organic shapes because they are shapes of nature. Okay, then down here we have another category of shapes. Okay, so if you take a look at this shape here and you compare it with this shape here, you can see that they are different. Okay, so these types of shapes, they are called forms. Okay, they are called forms. Why are they called forms? So these shapes, they no longer have two sides. Okay, two dimensions. Okay, so the shapes, remember, they have only two dimensions. That's height and width. Height and width. But these ones, they have three dimensions. Okay, so that is depth, sorry, that is height, then width, then depth. Okay, they have three dimensions: height, width, and depth. These are called forms. Okay, any shape that has height, width, depth, they are called forms. So these are geometric forms. Okay, these three-dimensional forms, this type, they are geometric forms. Okay, then here we have organic forms under the same three-dimensional forms. We have organic forms. So organic forms, they look like this. Okay, they have three dimensions. Okay, like that. So remember, organic, they carry the definition of nature. Okay, or the shape of nature. Okay, so under the three-dimensional shapes, we have these organic forms. Okay, hope it is clear about shapes and forms or three-dimensional shapes. Okay, so next here we have texture. So what are these textures? So textures is the way a surface feels, okay, or the way it is perceived to feel. How you see a surface of an object or a surface of any flat uh, shape, okay, or any flat environment. The surface of that flat environment, okay, that's a texture. Okay, how you see it, you can imagine the way you see it, you even imagine how it feels. Okay, that's texture. Okay, so the way that surface feels when you touch it, okay, it's a texture. Okay, so we have two different types of textures. Okay, so the texture that you feel on a surface, that's a tactile texture. Okay, it's a tactile texture because you can feel it. So anything that you can feel, it has three dimension. Okay, it has three dimension, and it's called a tactile texture. Then any texture that an artist or a graphic designer creates or recreates, sorry, any texture that a graphic designer or an artist recreates, okay, on a medium, on a media, it is called what? A visual texture. Okay, So here we have examples of textures. So here, this is a wood texture here, which you can see here. This is a wood texture. So the surface of that wood, okay, it's texture, okay. The surface of the wood, which you can feel on the surface of the wood, that's a tactile texture, okay. Then here we have a concrete texture. So the surface of the concrete on the floor there, which you can feel, the roughness of that surface of the concrete, that's what? Tactile texture, because you can feel it. Okay, so that surface of the concrete, it's a texture. Okay, these textures are called tactile textures. In other ways, they are called rough textures because you can feel them. So, for example, another type of texture is visual. So here we have a visual texture. Why? Because we cannot feel what is here. It's on the screen. So any texture that is on the screen, any surface of an object which is recreated on the screen here, it's called a visual texture. So as graphic designers, we create only visual textures. Remember, graphic design is all about visual communication. Okay, visual communication, communicating a certain image. So as an artist, graphic designers, we create visual textures. Okay, so remember, a texture is the way a surface feels, or the way it is perceived to feel. So textures, in simpler terms, are surfaces of any object. Okay, the surface which you can feel physically, or a surface which you can see, perceive visually on a screen. Okay, hope you've understood that. Okay, so the first type of a texture is a texture which you can feel with your hand physically, the surface of an object which you can feel physically. Maybe the surface of a stem tree there, those stem trees, okay, which you can feel. Those surfaces you can feel, those are physical textures, okay, called tactile. Then the textures which we can see on the screen, such as these are visual textures. Hope it is clear. Okay, so next we have typography. All right, so typography is another element. So what is this typography? So anything that deals with writing, you can see these words here. You can see these words. All these words, anything that has to do with words or texts or writings, okay, it's typography. That's typography. Letters, words, sentences, or any message that you see on a poster or any title, that's typography. Anything, for as long as it is in form of words or writings or letters, okay, that's typography. Okay, anything you see on a poster which looks like words, okay, letters, that's typography. Okay, that's what typography is. So you can see that here these typography are different from each other. Okay, you can see that this looks different from this, and this same text look different from this. What is that? Why do they look different? So the difference in these appearances or in style, these are called fonts. So fonts are styles. Okay, so fonts are styles of typography. Okay, so fonts create a unique style, okay, to each typography or to each text. Okay, so remember, fonts are styles of typography. So you can see that this style here looks different from this style here. Okay, you can see that, you can notice that. Okay, so this difference in styles is, it's what is called font. Okay, so fonts are styles, okay, in appearance. Okay, always remember that. Do not be confused about what fonts are and what typography are. Okay, so moving on to the next, we have color. I don't need to explain anything about color. We all know what color is. This is what you are seeing here: green, orange, pink, blue. There, that's color. Okay, there's no need for any further explanation about that element. So lastly, we have negative space and positive space, or let's just say we have space. Remember, space is an element. So when we talk of space in graphic design, we are not talking of something which is a nothing. Okay, so space is a something in graphic design. Space, it's called something because it allows you to uh, put elements on it. It allows you to hold elements in it. Okay, so what do I mean? So for example, here we have a sunflower here. Okay, and this part here which you are seeing here, it's a negative space. Okay, so this part, it's negative space, and this part is positive space. So why are they called positive and negative space? Okay, so the reason why they are called like that, it's because uh, when the space has nothing, for example, you open your canvas and you see something like that. You see something like that. There is nothing there on the canvas. It's just empty. So when there is nothing on the canvas here, that's called a negative space. Okay? Any space, any area in that space which is not occupied with any element or any object, it's called a negative space. Okay? So if, for example, if I bring in something like this, let me just say this. Okay? In this area where I've brought up this shape here, that area of space is called a positive space. Why? Because it has been occupied by this element. So the area, so if I take it here, that area of space where I've taken that shape, it's called positive space because that space, that part of space here, it has been occupied. Okay, so here, let's come here. So you can see that in this area there is nothing there. Okay, it's just blank. Okay, there's just space there. It's called negative space because there's nothing there. Okay, so and in this part of space where the sunflower is, it's called positive space. Why? It's because it has been occupied. Okay, so any space like this space here, you can see that here there is nothing, here there is nothing, here there is nothing, all the way here there's nothing. That's that's a negative space. Only where there are things here, there are objects, that's positive space. Okay, hope you've understood what space is and what negative space and positive space are. Okay, so thanks for watching. It has been your instructor, and hope you've understood. If you've not understood, watch it again and again until you understand, because these explanations about these theories are important. Without this knowledge of these theories, you will be a graphic designer without knowledge, and you will not even know what you are doing. Okay, you will not even know what the meaning of what you're doing is. Okay, so you need to know and to have this knowledge about graphic design before you start designing. Very important. Okay, so take these theories very seriously. They will help you in your journey. Okay, so these theories, they act as your compass. Okay, without these theories, it's more like you don't have a compass on your journey, and you will be lost. Okay, so that's it. Good luck.